to Around the Console, the Doctor Who review podcast. I'm your host, Bob, and joining me this time are Cliff and Liam H. Dempsey of Spocklight podcast. He's back for round 2 of this season. Hello, Liam. And yeah, we're putting Around the Console, the latest episode of Doctor Who, Wish World. Is that correct?
It is correct.
Yeah.
It is correct.
Wonderful. Thank God for that. I'm going to go around now and get a vibe. So I'll come to you, Liam, first, because you're there.
Yes, so I mean, I enjoyed this. Gloriously weird. But yeah, I was kind of into it. Obviously, it's one of those ones where this is very much a part one, and kind of we spent a lot of time in Wish World or Incel World, as I like to call it. And it's all setting up that mystery of what's going on and kind of what the Rani's plan is and everything like that, and then that will explode next week, and we'll see if it's another Empire of Death or something better.
Oh, so positive vibe, Liam.
Yeah, positive. Yeah, definitely at the moment.
Clifford Shepherd.
I watched this twice. So the first time I watched it and I was like, what on earth's going on? I had to watch it again. I watched it again. I was thinking, it's leaving me with loads of questions, which I really hope the answer in the second part. But I really enjoyed it because I thought, wow, the sets were great. You can see where the money's gone. But that's not all it is with Doctor Who. I like a good story. And you can feel that this is a great, foundation, lot of things linking together. You think, oh, I really hope that second part is going to explode. So positive for me.
Cool. Well, I was gigging in on the coast of North Wales on Saturday night, so I had a long drive there from York, and then I booked a little Airbnb in Conair Bay, I think it was, because I was playing in Shrewsbury on the Sunday. So I got to my little B&B, Airbnb. I've never done it before. Airbnb is very good, by the way. It was cool and cheap. Anyway, that's my story. So when I got settled in my little room upstairs, I got my phone out and put my little buds in my ears and watched it. Because I didn't look on the internet, so I didn't want any spoilers and stuff, which I avoided well last time by watching it on the train to Manchester. So this time I was watching it in North Wales on my phone. And I've really enjoyed it. I loved it. It went fast, which means I enjoyed it. But I'll be honest, I started because it was very late by the time I got to my Airbnb. I started falling asleep a little bit, but I managed to remember the Omega bit, which was cool. And then I watched it again last night on my big telly. And it's bloody great. And like you're saying, there's loads of questions. I love the vibe. I love the not parallel universe, but the made-up universe and seeing the characters playing different people. I always find that unsettling in anything. Like when Star Trek did it or Inferno, Doctor Who did it. It was a little bit like that in Age of Steel as well. When you're seeing the characters acting differently. It was cool, and Conrad was eerie. I mean, the beginning. Let's start at the beginning, because that was fucking sinister with the Rani. I just all that Seventh Son of the Seventh Son
in Bavaria.
Power of Bavaria, and just not killing, but turning children into ducks, women into flowers, blokes into owls. It was like nicking a baby. I thought that was a brilliant intro. Like,
I thought they should have stopped at the violets, because when she turned the woman into violets, that was an actually really fantastically designed CG effect, her turning the violets. And then when she did the ducks and the owl, it was literally just a case of cut. Oh, now there's ducks, now there's an owl. Rather, it's like they spent all the money on the violet effect. Couldn't do and it was like, I was like, yeah, just do the violet one. Don't bother with these ones, because this looks shit. Just do the violet one, because that was really impressive.
I had a thing about that. I was thinking, I wonder if he initially thought he'll also kill off the children with the same effect with the violets. But then they thought, oh, it just goes a bit too much. We're going to have to put something in. Turn them into dogs.
Yeah, so a bit funnier, a bit sillier. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, of course, the Rani, so we've now got a proper look at this version of the Rani, the Archie Punjabi interpretation, and yeah, I really liked her performance in this. I think she's really strong. I've seen some kind of people being a bit weird about being like, oh, she's not exactly like the
No,
Rani we've seen
do you
before. It's like,
know?
yeah, obviously not. It's a
No,
regenerated version.
it's her character now. The Rani is basically a mad genius scientist,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
she's not the master, so she doesn't
yeah.
have that chaotic kind of vibe. But her theme, because I thought about this for the second watch, was
Mm,
I kind of got a Missy vibe, but you kind of got it a little bit, I think. Um, but it was more, it was this whole, although it was fantasy, this wish world and all this kind of stuff, there was still, in her mind, a scientific element to it, using this power to harness enough power to
Yeah.
bring back Omega. So
mm,
there was that,
mm.
and she was particularly fun, which was good, and the Rani is not fun, you know. So there was, I saw the Rani in there,
Yeah,
and I think I was, you know, maybe because the second watch I was looking for, she's not chaos. The Rani's not chaos. The Rani
mm.
is science and sensible, and she was that, you know. I think Anita Dobson's version is fucking brilliant as well. I just think,
Yeah,
I
she's
think she's
bonkers.
one of the best actresses of all range within a scene. I think she's phenomenal.
Yeah, Dobson's great, and I hope that, and I think we're already seeing kind of hints of that. That in the finale, she's gonna
The
turn
way,
against the other
yeah,
Yeah,
right. I
yeah.
don't think necessarily because I've heard some people be like, "Oh, it was gonna be like the Doctor Falls, where Missy kind of turned against the Master to side the Doctor." I don't think like that. I just Phil was in just wanting to usurp her, be like, "Oh, you've
no,
got too big for your boots."
I said this last episode. I said Anita Dobson will become the main Rani in
Yeah,
this one.
yeah,
She,
yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
the Rani will become the subservient version
Yeah, yeah. It feels
because she's too
weird.
good. She's too
Yeah, but
clever.
also it's like why build her up for like 2 seasons if she's not gonna
Yeah,
properly get to be the Rani at some point or step up to that level, like stab the other Rani in the back and
I
not
could
care because she's so crazy, you know?
I could also see it as a plan what she had in action. Her becoming subservient that
Mm,
fast that she's already got her own plan. The way she was looking
yeah,
at the child, the way she was looking at things, the way she conducted herself, yeah, it giving that element of like she's gonna go against her. But I think she's had this whole plan. She needed that other one to achieve this, and then she's gonna come out. So I do think she's gonna take over, but not for the good, but because
yeah.
she wants to rule it.
Yeah, is that exactly? Yeah, I think the same. But yeah, I think I think Archie is fantastic as the Rani. I think it's her own interpretation, but I think she's recognizably the Rani to me. Like you say, it's like that
yes,
difference
she
between,
is
yeah,
chaos and science.
exactly. And she is different from Missy in the sense of like, Missy is far more psychopathic. The
Crazy.
Rani's more sociopathic.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. No,
yeah.
and that's how and that's the differential between the Rani and the Master.
Mm,
So I thought, yeah, I completely agree. And I think after we get over that initial scene, and we're into the whatever it is, into Wish World, we'll call it.
The
I don't
strange
know.
London with the dinosaurs,
Oh,
the
it was
skeleton.
beautiful, beautiful.
It's
But the whole setup of the Doctor and Belinda in bed, and it's all very, oh, you
I
know,
like
well
that.
to
Like,
do, Truman
yeah,
Show kind of like
yeah.
vibe, and I was like, this is fucking different. I like this. And then the whole thing of then it's just into the credits, and I'm like, it was just brilliant. The whole setup, it looked amazing. It looked cool. It looked like stuff we'd seen before. Like I said, Truman shows and whatever. What's
Yeah.
going on,
Well,
and the
Don't
fact that
Worry, Darling was the touchstone I thought of very much so, the Olivia
right,
Wilde film with the kind of like 1950s heteronormative like society that Conrad had created, which makes perfect sense from the character we've been introduced to in My Lucky Day, in the sense that he would create this world of like very misogynistic world
Yeah.
where all the women are very much in their place, where like essentially like any kind of gayness is outlawed,
yeah.
that like disabled people push aside. It totally fits into his character as he was in My Lucky Day.
I think you've
But you
hit.
know what? Sorry, Cliff. I was going to say the way he plays it though in this, because he's a subservient to the Rani
Mm,
and whatever he's
mm,
doing. He's a he's a prisoner really, but the way he's doing it's so weird from his other character. The way he played his character previously. Because he was I thought quite scary.
Yeah.
And in this, he was obviously doing what he was told, and you only saw a glimmer of that at the end when he met the doctor. That he was being. You saw that Conrad that scared you, but I quite like this whole thing that he was doing, and Doctor Who and all that. I just thought brilliant. Sorry, Cliff.
I did like the harper back to the Harry Potter book as well. With the book was even designed like the Harry Potter book, like sit down and read like CBeebies time. I think Liam hit the nail on the head there, where I was thinking all the way through. This is very much a 50s, Doris Day type setting, having a subservient woman to the man, and how those roles seem to be also generated now in a lot of social media. That's how it should be. We should be back to that golden age. It wasn't a fucking golden age, because that's the reason the 60s went boom. Because everyone just broke away from the shackles.
Yeah,
exactly. But that suppression as well gets shown when the doctor goes to the office, and you can see part of him coming out when he turns to the guy and says, "Oh, you're very beautiful." And his little bits like that, he don't understand himself what's coming out, because he's kept it all in. And the guy said, "You can't say that. You can't say that word that I'm beautiful." Yeah. The little teasers where he was teasing in, it was very RTD that. He wanted to show what it was from the time, but bringing it as a present day is like, this is how it will be.
Just little glimmers. And I like the cups dropping off the table.
Yeah.
The doubt. And they're kind of feeding off the doubt in a way as well. And that was just a cool little thing, I thought.
That moment between the doctor and the unit guy, I found genuinely disturbing. Like, really kind of like, it was this kind of horribly oppressive society, and the fear that suddenly came over of, like, like you say, the doctor not even quite realizing what he's saying is obviously, this doctor has been very much identifying as gay. And obviously in this reality, that's been suppressed. And then that coming out, and then not even kind of being like, oh my God, like, I don't even realize what I've said. And suddenly that massive 1984 kind of like danger. Like, it was really, really horrible. You know what?
And he played it brilliant, shooting this. He was class, because, and obviously John Smith, great. Thank you very much for that. But the whole thing, and I thought that both him and Belinda played it really well. Because there was them little slips, and then the fear in Shooty's eyes, in the doctor's eyes, was just fantastic.
I love the slip from Belinda when she's got to the point where it's a pregnancy. Again, that's a bit where everything's honky-dory. You see something weird. It's very surreal when you're watching it. And then when she's mentioning the baby, that really hits home, that for a woman, and she can't understand why she can't remember the birth. And it suddenly starts clouding. It starts getting. If you watch the screen at that point, it even just gets a little touch darker, and then she goes running out into the street, and she just needs to scream.
The music as well, and then all the cups drop.
Yeah,
and it's quite. And then like you said, running out and just screaming. It's fucking cool. I love it. It was
very clever. The only thing what got me was I wanted it longer. But I reckon when you get to that stage with Doctor Who that you want something longer, they've got it.
Yeah, move it on.
Yeah. And like you say, the production design was just absolutely amazing, because there was a lot of CG as well and stuff like that, and just the weirdness of the world in terms of those like giant skeleton dinosaurs like moving through stuff. Because what was interesting is this thing of like, obviously it's Conrad's wish, but it's being filtered through this kind of this kind of god baby, everything like that. And I was like, oh yeah, is it this really weird thing? It's this weird mix of like Conrad's quite set rules for what he wants with this kind of weird kind of 1950s throwback world, mixed with just genuine kind of like weirdness. Like those two like filtering together kind of thing, like, through that, because it's going through this like baby mind.
The baby thing was cool though. Did the ha 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 ha, and then they're touching on this whole thing of the god concept that the doctor's let in through whatever he's done.
Yeah, I love that idea that he's to blame because of him meddling with it. It's like you don't realize the consequences of what he does.
but it was only kind of, wasn't it, like obviously the bits of the experiences had with the gods
Yeah.
and the toy maker, and then there was the fairy thing in 73 yards, which they fucked with. And
Well, the
that was
music doctor, that
and
she,
the salt. Oh, the salt. It was the salt. It was David Tennant with the salt, wasn't it?
yeah,
In the specials, whatever it is, it's been going on. This
Mm.
messing with, and this is why this is all sort of coming in, for whatever reasons. But the baby was, that was pretty sinister. And talking of babies, Poppy from Space Babies being herself and not being lip CGI'd and talked through. So it was quite nice that I thought that was a cool little. But it was
Yeah,
going to be a baby. It's Poppy in it, so it's.
I mean, God knows what's going on there because obviously the whole ending of the kind of episode with Shooty screaming Poppy is real, like I have a daughter and everything like that. And obviously we know, or at least as an audience, we've always assumed that the Doctor must have a daughter because he's got a granddaughter in Susan. But at the same time, it's always kind of been, cut open for interpretation, especially with, the Doctor as well being so wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. Like, I swear there was even a line in maybe the last season where because he mentioned Susan the last season and says something about he doesn't need to have a daughter to have a granddaughter or something like that because of
Timey-wimey and all that.
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Like, but now they've reintroduced Susan in the last episode. Now they've brought back the concept to having a daughter in this episode, and we saw Susan again, of course, on the TV for a split second. That obviously that's going to play into next week, and yeah, I mean the only thing that really worries me at this point is next week's finale is feature length. It's like I think it's 66 minutes next week. So it is longer, but fuck me, they've got a lot to sort out
of answer
in the next episode. And I genuinely believe they're gonna throw in more else because obviously they've done this thing of the next episode is completely secret. There's no press screenings at all of the episode, like literally absolutely nothing until it airs in cinemas, on TV, everything, no early release or anything like that. So for me, I'm like, they clearly are trying to keep some secret stuff. So at this point, I think there's got to be more big surprises for the last episode that haven't been revealed yet, because otherwise it's kind of like, why would you keep it that insanely locked down?
Yeah, I think this, like Liam said, it must be something to do with his family element. It's been touched on for the last 2 seasons. It keeps going on about family. They don't really do that with Doctor Who. Never really mentions it.
Yeah,
I've never seen so much jam packed over the last 2 seasons about family, about honor of the family, about his. He always wanted to address, obviously, from what happened with Jodie, with regards to her past. So I really think there's some element of that is going to pull in. RTD's not one to just ignore that watch in the TARDIS or whatever's gone on.
Well,
and also elements of that pulling in.
I think as well, though, that because it's going to be on a hiatus, for a couple of
whatever
years,
happens, yeah.
I don't think we'll get a Christmas special. If we do, awesome.
No.
But I don't think we will. He's going to have to sew up a bit. But I gotta say that, is he? Severance. The difference in season 1 and 2 is 3 years. That I've talked about this cliffhanger before.
Yeah.
Star Trek could leave it a year or two. It was that because TNG used to do the big season endings that like Best of Both Worlds. It must have been a year break, was it, for the next season? And again,
with Best of Both Worlds, it would have been like 3 months or something like that with the way network seasons were done. But I think the only thing that makes me, with this, what I'm interested about is the fact that when they were writing this finale and even making it, all of this stuff that has come about of, basically, is it potentially cancelled or at least going to go away for quite a long time? In comparatively with what we've had for the last 20 years, that kind of stuff at the end of the day wouldn't have been as big when they were actually making this episode. But they could have gone back and reshot some elements or anything like that. We really don't know at this point. We know that the TARDIS set is still standing. Bad Wolf Studios, Russell T Davies has made a point of that by posting photos and getting like, I'm on this now. He's made like a big point of like, we haven't taken this down in terms of, do I think try and leave elements. So to me, that means that they could have gone, right, okay, you know what, we need to go back and shoot a new ending. A bit like back in the day with Survival. Obviously, they, went and re-recorded those final lines of Sylvester McCoy to give it a sort of send-off. And now, obviously, they can do a lot more than that. Who's to say they haven't shot a final kind of sequence in the TARDIS to kind of like try and wrap this era up a bit? I don't know, but I am very intrigued. On one theory I have had from the beginning, and I stand by it.
No spoilers.
This isn't a spoiler. This is not a spoiler. This is a completely speculative theory on my part. This is not something I have any inside info or I've seen anyone else kind of like say anything about. This is completely from me. So if this is right, this is just completely I got it right rather than spoiler. Literally last week when RTD posted a photo of Conrad and the two Ranis, he said the three, like, what did he call them? The Trinity of something, like the Trinity of Evil or whatever the case. And he said the Rani count as 2 and Conrad is 1. So there's another villain still to be revealed. Obviously, at the end of this episode, we get Omega revealed as presumably so Omega is the third of that. So now you get a trinity of villains: 2 Ranis, Omega, Conrad, right?
Well, can I go on. Go. I love it.
This is what I believe, and one of the reasons why it would be so locked down and kept secret. If you've got a trinity of villains, you need a trinity of doctors to fight them. So next week, Fugitive Doctor, definitely. Because they've already had her tease back. There's no way, as a lot of people pointing out, like even her costume was different from last time. There's no way they're doing that and everything and kind of and promoting her the way they did and just bring her back for one shot. So Fugitive Doctor next week, and also I think Tennant back as the 14th Doctor, because I'm like at this point with like the world ending and stuff, I do not believe the 14th Doctor. Putting his feet up with a cup of tea. I think he's going to come out of retirement, and we're going to get and also it's Omega, 3 Doctors. So that's what I believe.
I love that, Lee, and I think that's a firm theory as well. I just want to talk about Omega. So I didn't know that. It wasn't spoiled for me. I didn't. It was a bit like the Rani. Like it wasn't a massive surprise, but it wasn't spoiled for me. So it was just when, and again, I was bloody nodding off at this point on my phone because it was late. But I managed to get the Omega bit. I don't think I missed much. After watching it again. But it was. I think if it had been more alert, it'd have been more like fuck. But I just can't wait. If because this is the other thing about these wish worlds, alternate worlds, or whatever. This is where Omega's always lived. He's always trying to come through. From his be it a whatever it was, the through the black hole in the 3 Doctors when he's in the antimatter universe.
Yeah,
it's similar again in Arc of Infinity. He's trying to cross over, and this is, I think, what the Rani's trying to do is actually get him to fully and properly cross over and be the Omega he can be. So do you think we'll get to see him next week?
We've got to, unless it's going to be a fake out or like it doesn't work. I think we've got to see him. We've got to see it because I think the Omega costume. I think you can make that look. You can make a cool
this is my concern. If they make him a fucking dog.
They could make a cool modern version of that at the end of the day.
It because that costume, like you say, it's got so much potential to be awesome. So I'm a bit worried that we will see him next week.
I think we're going to see
he'll be a fucking mole or a kangaroo or something.
My thing would be you'll see glimpses of him sort of coming through, as they always do. They've got these big lights and he's slowly coming through, and either they'll stop it or that'll be the bridge and RTD would keep it open. That did he get out? Did he not get out? And then that'll keep, because to have a mega in for the future seasons, that's really exciting.
Yeah,
to see that he's out and about, because he's not been touched on, has he, for years and years? It's not been mentioned. So for them to just bring him back to kill him off or bring him back to lock him back again, I think it's better to bring him back and then the viewers are like, oh, is he? Isn't he?
Oh, it'll be so cool. I mean, Three Doctors, I love it.
It is the Three Doctors, but I really hope they bring someone else back. I know David Tennant would bloody do anything. He just Kellogg's adverts, whatever. You know what I mean?
I mean, if Matt Smith came back, I'd just literally cry.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would love for Matt Smith to come back.
Imagine Eccleston.
Even if it's
imagine if it was Eccleston.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, this is the problem. Unlike, there are certain people who I think it's just going to be a near impossible struggle to get back. And like Eccleston especially.
He said so many times no.
But that could be the surprise. That you could be like that. The last person, the last of the new Doctors you think would ever do it's him. And I quite like the fact. Imagine if he just turned around, leather jacket.
It would be incredible. I would like, because I adored Eccleston as the Doctor.
Absolutely. Paul McGann.
Adored him. Oh yeah, Paul McGann. Yeah, and that season, I really loved the first season of RTD. Who I think is so good. I think he's so brilliant. And to be honest, he meant a lot to me, Christopher Eccleston, when he was the Doctor, of actually having like a working class Doctor. In the kind of role, like someone who was, because the Doctor had always been like or kind of depicted to be higher status, like they've even talked about that within the kind of Shooty said, like adopted by like a posh family, and to have a Doctor who wasn't like that, who spoke like a normal person, was really valuable for me. I thought, and to be honest, I kind of think it's part of the reason why that first RTD series of Doctor Who hit so hard and became such a massive smash, was because of the fact that people could connect.
And I think that Billie Piper, oh my God, she can act. She's great. And she was like a massive star. He was,
and again, a normal girl from a council estate.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Right, we need to go into this now. So we've covered quite a bit of it, but we've not mentioned Ruby, particularly on her gang, because that was
I know
the ignored under the radar, and I love that. I loved all that.
I think that's
stuff.
amazing. I think that's so with what, again, RTD writes about what happens in the actual world, and you see that all over the place. Unless you're an Instagram star, looks, they've got the X factor. That's all what everyone falls into. But these people who are, pushed to the one side, the people who you don't see, which are there. I love that, like, blinkers on. Because he's got his blinkers on of his perfect, more or less like Aryan race of this is how he wants it. So everyone else is pushed and marginalized to the side. Oh, that was so well done. So well done. And hits home for now as well, more than ever.
And I'll go back to this. So I managed to try and watch Unleashed last night, but again I was falling asleep. But the again, like when they did the Nigeria episode, they had people from Nigeria actually looking at it and going, "Is this real? Yeah, is this And they did it this time as well. They got someone in, a consultant in, for people, to say like, this is what would happen. This is what this is how we'd sort of look at it. Like even like down to tent colors and how can you access a tent and all this kind of thing. So I think that's brilliant that they're putting effort in to making it feel like a real society. And I've got to say, the unit scientist,
Ruth Bradley.
I
think is the actress.
What she called in the Ruth Bradley.
Sorry, Ruth Madeley, and the character is Shirley.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant in this. Ruby and Millie Gibson was brilliant. She always is. She's phenomenal. So it was, and it was. She just played it all. It was all just played perfectly. I thought it was lovely.
I liked being on the outside. Ruby, even though she wasn't part of these people who have been ostracized, she took it upon herself. There was something in her brain which was much more pushing away everything what was being pushed on everyone else. She was like being herself, the individual. She knew something was wrong, but she couldn't have the answers for it. And it was her who started to break and put the doubt in the people's heads. Which was great.
The Mel bit was great when you saw Mel, because Mel's met the Rani. So she's the one out of all these people that's met the Rani. So I'd hopefully.
Did you notice though? Did you notice though? I'm not sure if I saw it on the second watch. She goes to her bin, Mel, and she puts stuff in the bin. If you look at the bin, it's full.
It's full of mugs. Yeah.
So she's having lots of doubts.
Yeah.
So whether she's playing the game at the moment because she's worried about getting caught by these police, but she's having lots of doubts within it.
Well, it's also the brilliance of that moment was to do with it being part of Conrad's mentality and world. As she was saying, as an older single woman, I'll just be sitting at home, like contemplating my life and stuff like that. Like that was really nice. And obviously brilliant that we've got Mel back. Hopefully next week Archie Punjabi dons a ginger wig to pretend to be.
It was cool, because she's the only one that's met, apart from the Doctor, met the Rani. So it's like, it's cool. It was I'm excited for next week. It's going to be ace, and also Rogue, and I was in my sort of sleepy, tiny state, and on my little phone, and the American accent came through, and I was like, that can't be Captain Jack. And then realised it was Rogue. I think half asleep. And I genuinely thought Captain Jack had turned up just because. But that was lovely to see. They've used him in Hellfire.
I really hope he's in the next one, though. I really do.
Same.
He was great.
Because they can't just have that little snippet and that little teaser. And I know he's got a lot of things on. He's doing a lot of stuff on Broadway and all this type of thing. I've seen him all over the place. And he's a brilliant actor. But even if they get him back just for a moment, they could just clinch it. I know, but like as like fulfilling his story arc, really, because he's just left a little bit.
I think that you've got his modern passion, for example, was Rogue, we'll call it, and his previous not passion, that'd be wrong, but like someone that would make him feel emotion or bring him back is Susan Foreman, so it's like I love the fact, and also I love the fact when the Doctor's remembering, and again Shooty was brilliant when he was when he was like trying to remember stuff, and they did the whole classic Doctor. They've done that a few times.
They've done that a few times, haven't they? That's
so it's just like this, and also like fucking the Rani or Megit. You've got like just some of the best classic baddies ever. He's giving Doctor Who fans. So what have you got to complain about? Is what I mean. Like,
oh wow,
what more can he give us? What more can he do?
Doctor Who fans have always got plenty to complain about. They they're never not going to complain, unfortunately. But yeah, Groff being back was great, and I hope he's back properly.
Yeah.
But like you say, Jonathan Groff is incredibly busy actor, both on Broadway and in other things as well, and that moment was so obviously like shot in his fucking living room in front of a green screen or something.
It was basically on Zoom.
To the point that I was
background.
Like, to the point that I was almost like, is this moment like meant to look shit because it's part of like the 50s like world thing? It's on the TV. Is it meant to look a bit duff? Because I was like, come on, guys, you could have done a better job, surely, of him being in the Hell Dimension now. I kind of almost thought it's got to be part of that aesthetic that it looks a bit dodgy. But it was great to see him back, and I really hope, because Rogue, I think, is one of the best episodes of the Shooty era. I thought it was really strong. So I would definitely like to have him back like properly, but especially now they've brought back that romance and everything like that. It would be nice to have him back.
You can't just tease it and not have him in. And then again, we've got Susan. Like she's been teased. She's not fully there.
Yeah.
Something
you gotta have Susan back properly. I mean, literally, it's gonna be. Look, put it this way: it's gonna be a lot easier to get Caroline Ford and it is Jonathan Groff.
That's very true.
Yeah. I mean, how about literally final scene of Reality War is new TARDIS team, the Doctor, Susan, and Rogue going off for the TARDIS together. It's I mean, I'd take it.
I'll take it.
I think there's just so much they put into it. I think this whole season is the continuation of quality for me personally. I think it's definitely progressed in here, and they've set themselves up for something that's got to be pretty good. So
I think it will, but I do think, like Bob had last week, a really good theory. Like, we know that they might have had to do reshoots, and especially you said, Liam, like everything what's gone on, they could have easily gone back and shot something at the end, which not told anyone, and therefore they've gone locked down for everything. So they could have shot the regeneration, just left it hanging, i.e., they don't know who's coming in. So whatever happens,
so he's half regenerating.
I think that.
So then it'll leave everyone like, all right, we know he's going, and wow, who's gonna be there?
And they do that nowadays. Like I say, Severance is an example of that. But with the big,
that's a great cliffhanger. That
I'll go Best of Both Worlds again, because that is again my favorite cliffhanger of all time ever. It's like, just imagine that.
Yeah, you don't know who's coming.
And that would be. They've never
because that'll let any other writer, even if RTD's got nothing to do with it in a few years or whatever, allows them to start off from there, and it makes it easier for them.
For anyone to pick it up. I kind of think, you know what, I think it could be something like that because of the fact that
the secrecy.
Well, but I mean, I think hopefully there'll be other things, but certainly it would make sense that if they ended it with she mid regeneration, so we don't actually see who it's going to be at the end of that, and cut it off, then it would be a perfect setup for anyone to pick up the baton in like 3 years or whatever, because then you can essentially, it gives you the opportunity to start the next series like they did in 2005 with, they don't have to show the regeneration because you've shown what led to it. You've shown what, but all you can have a new actor walk out of the TARDIS, start completely fresh, no continuity or anything like that, and just go like, and you can have a new season 1 where there's no previous elements apart from like the Daleks or whatever like that, and just start afresh again. So I can imagine them doing that potentially. It lets Shooty off the hook. He goes to go and do whatever he wants to do, and wraps up his time as the Doctor, and whoever takes over next gives them a fresh start. So I can imagine that happening.
I mean, and if they pull off, and I don't think they ever could, that he does regenerate into the new Doctor, we don't know who the new Doctor is. Fuck me, that would be the biggest and best moment in Doctor Who ever.
That would be the biggest secret that's never come out.
I mean, I can't see it ever happening because of the way the world is. But if they've pulled that off, RTD needs to be knighted by us all, because it would be a tremendous thing as a doing a TV show.
I think it would be nigh impossible now.
I do. But that's why I stopped at the whole thing of regenerate.
I think just having that was great, because then when you do start it, it doesn't matter where you started it.
I think it
could
have
been already been traveling.
I think it'd be greater having the new Doctor appear, but it's impossible to do. That's why I think it would just. I don't know. We'll see. But I have very much enjoyed all this sort of these. We'll say the 2 seasons of Shooty. Starting with Tennant, really, with the specials, is this whole manipulation of reality, or more fantasy Doctor Who, and I've really enjoyed that, because you do get your odd science one like your Boom and your Well, for the that sort of real hardcore classic. But I really enjoyed this. Like, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt, your imagination, and stuff like that, and just go along with the ride.
I love the God elements they brought in. I thought that was really clever. Right. A lot of people slammed it, and I think, why not? And then people go, you can't write that. You can write what the fuck you like. It's Doctor Who. Do whatever you like. Star Trek did it. Deep Space Nine. That was all about like the God elements and the planet and stuff like that.
That's very true.
So they can bring that in because it's always there, and it's something people do not know about and they hope about.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah,
God,
it's more or
you know,
less a
like,
god.
and
Yeah.
everyone loves Q. So it's like, well, I just think it's been. I've just really enjoyed, and looking back now, thinking back to the previous season, now the whole journey, and it has been a journey, has been fantastic, and the social issues that they've sort of done as well, and done in a scary way for some parts because they have got very close to
This
the
one was
truth of
this one was really scary. If you looked at
Yeah.
it in different ways, it's now. That is now. That's
Yeah.
how people live now.
We're
They
getting
don't want
closer
to
to
see it.
Wishworld every day. The way
You
things are
walk around
going.
Manchester, there's tents there. There's tents in the streets of Manchester, the same as in London and that. And they're the marginalised, been pushed to one side.
ignored. It's very,
Yeah.
very sad. Right, and well, as I was going to say before, I come round, we do our final bits and pieces. Literally a cliffhanger,
Yeah.
which was cool. The Doctor falling off a balcony. That structure was lovely, by the way. The whole, I don't know, whatever it was cool. But yeah,
The sets was good.
Yeah,
cliffhanger.
sets
So
were amazing. Yeah.
we'll go around the console and just give any final thoughts on our 2 words. Cliff, I'll come to you first.
Final thoughts is I'm looking forward to the ending. It has got a lot of questions, but I don't want them all answered because I like the fact that it will continue on in some other form, however it will be. This is be the season which I cannot wait to watch back to back again. I'm going to look forward to that because you might be able to see little things, little touches he's linked in to put through to now. So that'd be fun.
I'm saving my whole RTD rewatch until after Reality War, and I am going to do an intense
I'm going to do
rewatch.
that. I'm going to do a
like
good
I did with
watch it.
Flux and Geordie, and I enjoyed
you
it
appreciate it even more because you see little elements he puts in. It's not daft the way you drops.
I'm excited to go back.
So that would be good to watch. My 2 words will be Wheel Warriors.
Wheel Warriors.
They're the ones that are going to save the day.
The iPad bit was brilliant. And we found this from this iPad thing. I thought that was great. Liam.
Yeah, so I did like this episode. I think, it's very much a part 1, and part 1s have that freedom of being able to just do all the setup and intrigue you with so much kind of madness and teases for the next potential episode. So whether this will all get wrapped up satisfactorily or not, I do not know. But it was a very good setup. And, in the grand tradition of kind of, RTD has done this kind of thing before with Turn Left and stuff like that. And it works really, really well. And, like I say, I called it Incel World. I think it speaks to our times very well, as a lot of this era certainly has. I'm very excited to see where it goes. And because of that, my 2 words will be trembling anticipation.
Oh, trembling anticipation. Thank you, Liam. Well, I think my sort of last thoughts that maybe I haven't mentioned was I quite like the ham sandwich when the Rani was like, give this meat flesh, whatever, to the boy. And there's little lines like that I really enjoyed. And the dance with the Doctor, and because it wasn't kind of chaotic, it was a memory, from when they were young, that they did do this dance while the world burned, and all that kind of stuff, which felt a bit missy and a bit mastery, but, it was not chaos. It was just a memory. So I was definitely looking at that on the second watch, like we touched on before, was the differential of it. Is it the Rani or is it Missy? And it was definitely the Rani. And it was just bloody phenomenal. My 2 words are, I don't really know. Baby terror.
That's true. That's a question we need answering.
That was quite cool. I mean, they went, oh, it's beautiful. It's terrifying. Yes, it's terrifying. I thought that was great. So yeah, we'll be back in some form next week. We'll review the finale, Reality War. Yeah, I think we're all excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited. And I mean, look, at the end of the day, whatever happens, this does feel like, I don't think it's felt like this for a long time. I think for the last 20 years, more Doctor Who has basically been a certainty, even though there's been moments where people have been like, all the ratings are going down, blah, blah. it's basically always been absolutely confirmed that it's going to
Yeah,
continue in some shape or form, even if there's a small break up until now. This is the first ever time in 20 years where we've actually thought, oh, this might be going away for a while. And because of that, I'm like, I'm gonna hold on to this tight while I'm watching that last
yeah.
episode and enjoy it for all it's worth. I mean, apart from obviously we've also got the war between the land and the sea at some point, but that's not,
We
and I
still
am looking
have.
forward to that, but it's not Doctor Who. It's a spin-off. It's a different thing. Um, so yeah, I mean, who's to say? I will say, just I completely agree. Millie Gibson as Ruby, I think she's fantastic, and I've got to say, as much as I like Belinda, um, I kind of think, when they did all the promo shots for this season, and it was Shooty and both of them
Yeah,
together,
yeah,
like
Yeah,
there
yeah,
was a shot
yeah.
of both of them, and I was like, why couldn't you have done that?
It
Why
worked.
couldn't you have just had all
Yeah,
three of them in the TARDIS? They would have been a great team. They would have been awesome together.
yeah.
And I kind of think she's so strong to the point that obviously she's literally carried two whole episodes, just her
Yes.
as the lead.
Yeah, yeah.
And even here, she's very much got her own storyline where she's essentially being kind of Martha in Last of the Time Lords out on her own with her own kind of rebellion. I kind of think she's so good. I don't know why they didn't have her in the TARDIS all the way through. And
Well,
I think,
I think you've answered your own question, Liam, because she can then maybe if I do a couple of episodes on her own and pull it off and
yeah,
do
yeah, 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 yeah.
and get us wanting and hopefully this last episode we will see them as a three.
I hope
Like
so. I hope so.
yeah, yeah. It needs to be.
and I think that Belinda and Ruby would just adore each other.
Yeah, I think they
It's a
spark off
I think
each other really
yeah,
well.
I think it'd be a cool dynamic. But Millie Gibson, fucking hell, like she was quite good in Coronation Street,
Mm,
but she must have elevated herself to another level of you know film, TV, whatever. She's tremendous and
mm.
very young.
I
So
wonder if we're going to see her in the spin-off as well.
well,
Maybe.
sorry, I was going to say Unit as well. Talking of the spin-off, the Unit set decorating this 50s kind of
Office,
vibe was brilliant because you still had the door, to the helipad, no unauthorized access and stuff like that. And I thought that was really well dressed set. Yeah. So my two words. I've got two words. Even your we've done it all. We've done it. We've done the podcast. Wow, well done, Liam. Thank you very much for being to join us again. Do you want to advertise your wares? Because you are allowed as you the guest.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, you can hear more of me on Spocklight, the Star Trek podcast from a non-Trekkie perspective. We've just dropped our latest episode, which is a deep dive into Lower Decks season 5, the final season of Lower Decks with Sam Clements. From the 90 Minutes or Less Film Fest podcast. And we're about to record a podcast with Suki from this podcast.
He gets everywhere.
Yeah.
He's a total podcast slag.
Yeah.
Gradually
Don't
getting
feel
our
special.
way around around the console host. We've already had Bob and Craig. Next up is Suki, so we'll get to you as well, Cliff, eventually.
Yay.
And yeah, so Suki's going to come on and talk about The Visitor from Deep Space Nine. And that will be really interesting. That's a great episode. Of course, guest stars Tony Todd, who died recently, sadly. So that will be a fantastic episode to chat about. And it was directed by David Livingston, who we've had on the podcast before. We did an interview with them. So yeah, go and check out that out as well.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, Suki's coming on, eh? Oh, well, that'll be fascinating for everyone.
Watch you don't fall asleep.
It'll be great. And also, if you were a fan of Empire Magazine, in the next issue that'll drop, I'll be helping to rank the Saturday Night Live movies. And also, if you and I would heartily recommend signing up for their spoiler special kind of paywall protected podcasts, and I'm going to be on there doing a spoiler special on 3 action movies that came out recently: The Accountant 2, Den of Thieves 2, and Havoc. And we're doing a special edition of that covering all 3 of those films with Chris Hewitt and Helen O'Hara. So come listen to that as well.
What a busy boy you are, Liam.
Busy
You might be
guy.
even nearly as busy as Suki, but you're in a more professional capacity. Well, thank you for joining us. It's been wonderful, Cliff. Always a pleasure. Do you want to advertise anything, Cliff? You've got a book.
Oh,
out,
I got my book out for the
You're a
children's
fucking
book.
author. You're an author, and I love your stuff.
I always send me books here.
Yeah.
And I've got another one coming out at the end of June, which is like a fast-paced action thriller. I've written it because my mum loves the Reacher book, so it's not my cup of tea usually writing that type of book, but I thoroughly enjoyed writing it, and that's nearly finished, and that'll be coming out. And yeah, check me out on Amazon, Clifford Shepherd.
Do
a
it.
few books on there.
Prolific, sir.
Bubble and Rose is fantastic. I read it to my children. It was a lovely book. Because I'm very judgmental of children's books. Having children, I read to them every night. And Dr. Zoot is always up there as my ultimate. Yeah. Just love it and bits and pieces. But yeah, it stood up, Cliff. It stood up.
Thanks, mate.
So it was good. When's Blue Hills 2 out?
Those Blue Hills books take a lot more to write because it's based on actual historical events working from the 1950s up to now. So I'm still working through Blue Hills too.
Who's editing your next book?
Well, my friend Claire, she'll be editing it along with her friend.
No.
Also,
Sorry,
I'm going to yeah, you know how I am with my words. But there's so much software you can use now, which more or less proofreads it for you, which is great.
Yeah. Well, genuinely, and I'm just not just saying as your friend, brilliant. Please do check out Clifford Shepherd's books. They're fucking ace. And I've got nothing to say. I've got nothing to advertise. So I'm off. We're all off. See you next time. Bye.
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 How do I end this shit?